Hello, everybody. Welcome in to the NBA Front Office Show. It's Friday. You know what that means.
Front Office Friday! Point guard trade season edition.
Point guard trade season. We've been talking about LaMelo Ball. We've been talking about Ja Morant. We've been talking about Trae Young. Trae Young already gets traded. Now is Ja Morant next. Boy, Keith, some breaking news. The Memphis Grizzlies looking to potentially move on from Ja Morant. I always think it's funny, too. You know, when this kind of stuff comes out, here, let me show you the actual tweet from Shams Charania. Like, when this comes out, I think it's funny when teams try to walk it back just a little bit to try to hang on to any kind of sliver of leverage they've got. Like, the Grizzlies are ready to move on from Ja Morant. They're putting him on the trade block. They're going to prioritize young players and picks and all this, but they would also remain open to continuing with him on their team. They don't feel like they have to move him. They're going to they're open to keeping him on their team and continuing to make him a focal point. Like, please don't paint us as desperate to move him, even though, okay, we're ready to move on.
Yeah, and let's not make a huge problem if we can't find a trade we
exactly
like. Right. Let's make sure we keep our guy here. And we never wanted to trade you. We needed 48 first round picks and 500 young players, and that was the only way we were going to do it. And we couldn't get it, so now we're very happy to have you.
Oh man, it was other teams. They were beating down our doors trying to get you. You're just so valuable. Anyway, that's the way that this whole game is played. But Ja Morant potentially on the way out now in Memphis. And Keith, the immediate question needs to be, what is he even worth? If Trae Young goes for CJ McCollum and Corey Kispert, should the Grizzlies have any hope of getting young players and picks? Like, they can ask for it, but do they have any hope of realistically getting those things if Trae Young's value is a big expiring contract in CJ McCollum and a
nice role player?
You know what I mean? Yeah,
it's tough. It's Ja makes less than Trae does, but not by like hundreds of millions. Like, it's a little bit less per season, but he has that whole extra year under contract versus Trae Young. So that's the challenge there with that. Trae Young has had relatively minor health stuff throughout his career. Ja has had some major health stuff, and he's had the other off court stuff. That's been a problem. So that is, I'm not sure this idea of, because I think one of Sham's other things was he wants a whole bunch. The Grizzlies want a bunch of young players and draft picks for Ja Morant. I'm just not sure who's going to be offering that up. I get it, but it's also not like Ja Morant is 23 and Trae Young is 33. Like, these guys are like a year apart in age too. So this is definitely a little bit of a weird one.
So this comment, I wouldn't trade an executive Costco membership for Ja. Well, let's be fair. An executive membership at Costco does have some significant perks.
Man, well, I don't even know what that is. It sounds good though. I want one.
Well, you do get extra percentages back each year. I as an executive member myself, I'm surprised you are not, given that we are both middle-aged white guys that, we spend our weekends at Costco. But nonetheless, this is, I think, something that is going to be challenging for the Grizzlies to get the kind of value that you want. And Keith, we did this exercise the other day when we were talking about Trae Young. Go around the NBA, who needs a point guard right now? And because I think you can check that box with a few teams, but who needs a point guard and has the pieces needed even to just logistically make a trade work for a salary that's nearly $40 million.
Yeah, we've heard the Timberwolves mentioned with the Ja Morant interest. The challenge for the Wolves is they are just below the second apron, so they're going to be really kind of in a tricky spot to really kind of work here with this. Or there it is. You got it on the screen. 3.5 million below the second apron. So that's not easy, right? Like, you don't have a lot of wiggle room there. They could get there, but you're talking about giving up multiple guys who you like or that are rotation players in a trade there, and they're not really set up to deliver the young talent. You could put Dillingham and Shannon
Mhm.
in the trade, but that's not going to get you there salary wise. You're probably going to have to do something like Naz Reid to start to get there. Mike Conley probably before you kind of get there. Now that's where it gets really tricky. Now there would be some kind of full circle moment if that's what it was, and Mike Conley went back to Memphis to finish out his career. But it's a big trade.
Mhm.
Giving up a lot of your depth. I get why maybe Minnesota could do that, but I don't know. I mean, let's just we'll like it was when we talked about it before. Put the Kings on the list because maybe right it could be the Kings there. So those tweets drive me nuts.
Oh, where Shams
Here's my
just
article
tweets out
about
the
what I
article
already
of the
tweeted
news he
about.
already broke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's the article that I already tweeted about with that. So that just
Because you always think it's going to be, you're like, oh, there's
It's gonna be
something else.
something
Oh, no,
else.
it's not.
Yeah,
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
It should, that's my concern. Like, should the Kings be a buyer in this? I fear that they will. I don't think they should, but where do you think?
They should not. This is not the direction to go if you're the Kings. And unless it's like, all right, we're getting off, Zach LaVine's contract, then okay, sure, I guess. Why not? Like that doesn't really change anything meaningful. So I guess that's okay, but not if it's give up young players and draft picks. Like definitely not do that. So then you get into somebody in the chat, I can't find it, but mention the Raptors. All right, they don't necessarily need a point guard, but they could get there. You send Emmanuel quickly out or something like that, and that becomes a little bit interesting. A lot of people, we included, linked Miami as potentially a team
I like
could get
Miami.
involved here, but that's again, who knows? Are they going to go that way? So I mean, I do think there'll be a market to some extent because with John Morant, if we just do the basketball piece of this, he's not the offensive engine that Trae Young is, where you can build an entire offense around him, or at least you could with Trae Young. It kind of remains to be seen if he'll do that or not, in the future. But John Morant he has been a slightly better defensive player, very slightly there, and he is still a very good player when healthy, when locked in. So we'll see. But I mean, it's going to be now something to watch here for the next just under 4 weeks to the trade deadline to see what happens with this one.
I wonder how many teams are looking at it saying, he's not driving to the rim as much as before, trying to stay healthy. 21% from three. You dig into the advanced numbers, and the Grizzlies have been better significantly, not close, better with Cam Spencer on the floor instead of John Morant. I mean, the numbers are what the numbers are. We know how talented Ja is, but plus 7.5 points per 100 with Cam Spencer on the floor. With Ja, it's minus 7.9. Now, we're talking 500 minutes of play. I mean, we are still somewhat in small sample size territory. I don't want to suggest that Ja is not a good player, not a worthwhile target, but I have a hard time imagining that teams are really going to give up the young players' picks, all of that for John Morant, especially when what you're bidding on is the right to pay John Morant the amount of money that he's owed over the next 3 seasons. And in this environment, Keith, we just talked about it yesterday when we were talking about the Trae Young trade, how careful teams are being to make sure they're getting bang for your buck in terms of the salaries that they're paying out. John Morant can certainly put butts in seats. He can do some electric things out there on the floor. He doesn't do that stuff as much these days. He's trying to do what he can to cut down on that stuff. But I mean, 42 million next season, 44, almost 45 million.
No options.
Yeah, no option. Like, that's a significant commitment.
Yeah.
I have a hard time imagining the Grizzlies get the kind of package back that they would want for Ja.
Yeah, to your point about it driving and attempts at the rim, as a rookie, John Morant, 39.6% of his shots came at the rim. It has gone down every year of his career since, all the way down to just 22% of his shots come at the rim. And what he's traded those for is mid-range shots, like shots from 10 to 16 feet. It's just a lot more pull-up jump shots and the like. And he's not a great shooter on those. He's only at 40% on those shots. So that's tough. He's still a good finisher at the rim, 66%. But just not the player he was at that point. So it's there. So I am very curious to see where all this goes. If you're buying into John Morant, especially if you're giving up stuff of value, you have to believe we could get him on course. We could get his career turned back around to the exciting player we all loved a few years ago, and off we go with this one. Because otherwise, there's really no reason. Teams don't eat multi-years of salary like this, where it is that, like, that's the other difference. Where again, I'm with you. I struggle to see who's going to give up really high value stuff for John Morant if that means multiple draft picks and young players.
All right. And speaking of which, while we're on this John Morant topic, this question came in. Will John be traded the same way Trae was with no draft capital?
Certainly possible.
It's definitely possible. I mean, how badly do the Grizzlies want to move on and want to focus on Cedric Coward and Jaren Jackson Jr. and Zach Edey was great when he was on the floor this season, but you've got some other talent there. Gigi Jackson, Vince Williams. You've got some interesting young players that are there. How badly does Memphis want to turn the page? I think that is what's truly going to be tested here in this situation, because I agree. I don't see this big assortment of draft capital, young players, all of that coming back to Memphis for John Morant.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I think if he gets traded, it's going to be a team that kind of comes out of nowhere a little bit. Then it's like, instead of like a very obvious, okay, that makes sense. It might be one of these teams where it's like, oh, okay, all right, they're kind of going for it. So we'll see.
All right, let's go here. Latrev and Chief Keith, have you heard of players being compensated via floor seats that they can go and resell?
No, players are given tickets, but they can't be resold. And they're actually giving those tickets like to them, and there's all this stuff about the tickets that they get. Players can also buy courtside seats. A lot of them do, or if not courtside, they'll buy really good seats for their family as well. We've seen over the years a number of players have their mom or their wife and their kids or whoever sit in very prominent seats near courtside or courtside, but the players buy those. If they want to resell those, that's their ticket they bought, whatever,
right?
But you can't. They don't. What the tickets they are given are not floor seats,
and those can't be resold. There was the thing with the officials years and years ago where referees they were cashing in their first class tickets and buying coach tickets and then keeping the difference for them. Like you can't do that. Big no. With the Raptors so close to the tax, what's the easiest route for them to get under the tax? Well, let's pull up their cap sheet.
Yeah, while you pull it up, it's salary dump Garrett Temple.
Yeah.
Like that gets you there. Then you just wait long enough to fill out your roster the rest of the way when you can fit in a prorated and stay under the tax.
That's it.
That's the easy one, because all the other guys have at least some semblance of value. They could even salary dump Temple, and then because his contract expires, bring him back next year if they want. We got to be getting close to the end of the line with Garrett Temple, and Garrett Temple is fully into his Udonis Haslem, good locker room, end of the bench guy phase of his career. He barely ever plays for Toronto. He's also 39 years old, which makes me feel incredibly old, because I remember young Garrett Temple being an exciting player. So yeah.
Oh man, there's a number of players. There's a number of players around the NBA where I'm like, wait, Jordan Clarkson is how old? How is this possible?
Right.
And then I go, oh yeah, because I'm old. That's right. That's right.
Man.
All right. Is AD to Toronto a real possibility? Well, first, we're all kind of on pins and needles. AD got hurt last night against the Utah Jazz, got his hand caught between himself and Lauri Markkanen late in the game. If you were watching that game, the amount of pain Anthony Davis was in was concerning. He spent 2 possessions on the floor just holding his hand with his other hand, running around out there, went to the locker room. He was on the bench for a moment in clear pain, went to the locker room, doubled over.
Tim McMahon reported, he was doubled over in pain in the tunnel.
In the tunnel, you see him, and he had to stop in the tunnel to bend over and hold his hand. Did not look good. We're waiting. Mark Stein reported earlier today he's getting imaging that should give us more details on what's going on with that injury. So obviously that has to be figured out first before a team's going to trade for Anthony Davis. But is AD to Toronto a real possibility? If he's healthy, sure. I think that could be something that could really happen.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you have contracts to get there. You've got RJ Barrett. You have Jakob Poeltl potentially if Dallas wanted him, or there's other ways you could get there if you're Toronto for sure. So that's part one is done. Is there a need? Yeah, there is a need. Poeltl is he's out again in Boston. It's a back thing, and they I'll say what I've said before. Darko Rajakovic, the Raptors coach, has said multiple times. Poeltl sometimes shows up and he feels good, and it's later in the day, my back's locked back up on me again and I can't go. So this is going to be something they're going to have to figure out. And who knows? Now, Poeltl's contract is it's not great because of that extension that's only in those last few years. That's where it gets a little bit rough. But yeah, I mean, we'll see. I mean, Toronto has not been afraid to make big moves. I know Masai Ujiri's gone, but Bobby Webster was always a part of the stuff that Toronto did all along. He was right there with Masai throughout it all. And the Brandon Ingram trade it's not a pre-agency move like it would be if they traded for AD like it was with Ingram, but that's a good sense of they're not afraid to swing big on a player if they like him. So I think they're in the mix. But yeah, as you said, everything's going to hold on AD now for at least a day or two until we get the results of the imaging that's being done on his hand. If he's out a week or two, all right, no one's going to care. It's right. Always out a week or two, it feels like. And then they'll move forward however they want to move forward. But if it is something serious, that could change it. Could change it for a handful of teams.
While we're on the AD topic, AD to the Hawks for CJ and Reaves. Number one, they cannot re-aggregate CJ McCollum in a trade. Number two, there was actually some reporting earlier today that suggested, because the Hawks have pushed back on Reaves, but suggested they may be willing to move on from Onyeka Okongwu, which I know, Keith, something you and I both had presented before as unlikely. That surprised me that they would potentially be ready to move on there. And is that simply the path? If AD is healthy, is that the path for the Hawks to land Anthony Davis? Does it mean Porzingis, Kennard, the expirings, and then Onyeka Okongwu, and off you go?
Yeah, I mean, and it's got to be something, right?
Yeah.
You're not getting him for nothing. Dallas is not even, unless this injury turns out to be something crazy and they're get us out of the AD business. They're not looking to dump AD. They're not looking to just get out of that contract and move on. So you're going to have to give up something real. If it's not going to be Reaves, it's not going to be the Pelicans pick, which it shouldn't be. It at least should not be the Pelicans pick. Reaves, I will go back and forth. I mean, probably not if I was Atlanta, but I could maybe kind of get there.
It's not the automatic no that the pick is, though.
Yeah, exactly. It would at least be, all right, what else, do we need to do? But the challenge with that is, if it's not that, well, then it's, what are you going to give of value? Because if it's Porzingis as the matching salary, the big chunk of it, all right, what happens? Kennard has no value there for them. It's they got to get something for AD. This is not just going to be a straight salary dump. I would be very cautious of trading Okongwu and Porzingis and going in with AD and young guys like Mo Gay and Asa Newell, who I like, as there's my front court rotation, my big man group going into the playoffs. That is terrifying, because who knows if AD will be healthy. I want to go back to one thing with the CJ McCollum thing too.
Yeah,
absolutely right by you. You can't re-aggregate him, and the trade is now done. So there's no more idea of let's expand this trade. It's done, and it's done as was reported. It was McCollum and Kispert for Trae Young. No draft picks, nothing extra in there. Trade is complete, and there we are. So we just want to be in a spot where it is, just to note that, because that's going to continue to come up.
All right. Real quick, we'll go here. Any indication of how EuroLeague feels about the NBA Europe and teams leaving its league? I would imagine they're not thrilled.
Yeah, they're not super happy about it. Not so much about the league itself. I think any of these pro sports leagues have such an ego that they are we're the best and no one could ever challenge us. And part of it comes because no one ever really does. But that's part of it. But I think what they don't love is the idea of losing some of their potentially big name teams like Real Madrid or Barcelona or Bayern. They're a little less of a big name team, but there is some of that going on as well, where it is a little like, yeah, we start losing some of our big dog teams. That's probably not great for EuroLeague.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. All right, let's go here. How would you rank AD all time in terms of pure defense? Thanks for the title, by the way. Let's see. In terms of all around, do you feel he deserves to be top 75? What about Westbrook? Well, if you're calling him Westbrook, I'm assuming that
we
means
obviously know where you're coming from.
You don't think he should be. Russell Westbrook is a MVP, average triple-double. Yeah, he's easy top 75. Yeah. I think AD is the kind of guy who at some point could, if they redid a top 75, and they could bump, and someday we'll do a top 100 when the NBA hits 100, all that. But he's more, I think, on the bubble-ish. Like, had he won a Defensive Player of the Year, that would go a little bit farther. But he's also very, very, very good. I mean, this is an incredibly talented player. Has he dealt with injury issues in the course of his career? Yes, he has. But he's still one of the better defensive players in the NBA. As far as rank all time, I don't know. I would have to sit down and make a list, and I don't particularly care to do that kind of stuff. He's a great defensive player. That's and there's been a number of them over the years. Anthony Davis is a great defender.
Yeah, way up there. Was AD not a top 75 guy? I don't. Just tells you I don't even remember. I thought he was.
Yeah, I thought he was as well.
I think Basketball Reference.
Am I misremembering on that
page? Yeah, he was on the 75th anniversary team. So
yeah.
Now, do we feel he should have been? Yeah, I have no problem with it. He's really good and was really good at the time. You can't let the last couple of seasons sway you on, with guys. Let's use, where they were with that. So yeah, I think wasn't the big, the one that kind of still baffles me a little was Dwight Howard not being in there.
That's surprising.
Yeah, here it is. Yeah. Dwight didn't make it, but AD did. Yeah, Dwight Howard not being there, that felt a little off to me. I mean, Dwight Howard was the dominant defensive player for almost a full decade.
He was the best big in the NBA for a while. By default, who's the best big? It's Dwight Howard,
Yeah. And now there was also a period in between a lot of centers were gone, and
Shaq was gone, and Jokic wasn't around yet. Yeah, I mean that's fair, but he was also legitimately very, very good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he was awesome. And then Russell Westbrook was that part of that whole thing. Russell Westbrook was absolutely incredible for a very long time in this league. With Durant, without Durant, he was great for the Wizards for a while before. It's and I'm not taking a shot, but it's really since he got traded to the Lakers that it kind of went sideways. But it's also he was a much older player. Mm-hmm. At that point, but he was awesome for years.
He's the cautionary tale that has relied a lot on his athleticism in order to get by, and he is still ridiculously athletic. But those types of guys, if the skill portion of the game doesn't come along as they get older, sometimes they can have some struggles, and I think that's part of what we're seeing with Russ. He's also some weird stuff with him that is somewhat unique. I mean, not often that you see a player's free throw percentage drop the way his did. And things, some odd stuff like that's Russell Westbrook specific, but I mean an incredible go watch Russell Westbrook highlights. He was amazing when he was at his best.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Let's go here. Keith, the Clippers call today and say Simons 2 firsts and Shireman or Minot for Zubac. Are you doing it? Simons playing great lately, but Garza will get played off the floor in the playoffs.
So first it wouldn't work. The Clippers would have to send more salary back because Simons makes $9 million more than Zubac does. Mm-hmm. So then it becomes, all right, well, what other salary is going Boston's way? In that deal. So that would be that's where you're going to kind of, look at that a little bit there so I'd have to know what the full trade is there. But if we just said, let's just say Simon's 2 first in filler for Zubac and filler, and probably wouldn't even need to be filler from Boston. It's what are the 2 firsts? Are we talking this year's first and another one? And here's my issue with this, and I've said this repeatedly to Celtics fans. You fill the hole in the front court that you think you have, but you create a major hole in your backcourt. Because even if you think Jason Tatum's coming back, he's not a guard, and he's certainly not coming back and chasing guards around, screens on defense. Not that Simon's a good defender, but he's been better here over the last 20 so games with the Celtics. You're losing a ton of scoring, shooting, and ball handling production. So it's it's gonna be tough. So it's we'll see with that. But it's I don't know. I mean, the guards are getting played off the floor in the playoffs part too. Right? You don't play 10 to 15 minute a game backup centers off the floor. Like they just still their playing time drops to 6 to 8 minutes per game.
It is, I know the value of first round picks swings wildly. Is Ivica Zubac worth 2 first round picks?
If it was like this year's, which I think if you got him, you feel pretty confident you could, like, that's going to be a late pick, and then another closer in, maybe with lottery protection on it, just in case things really went sideways. Yeah, that's probably fair because he's on a pretty good contract. And I mean, a year ago we were like, is this guy the best, defensive big in the league now? So I that's probably okay.
I'm in agreement with that. I think he's worth it. Ideally, you'd want to put some protections on it if you can, of course. But I get where the Clippers might say no, thank you. That said, the Clippers are they really going to be a seller on the market?
Yeah,
probably they may not be.
I mean, if the Grizzlies are going to trade John Morant in a package for kids, like take them out. Then they're not going to be pushing for a playoff spot. So now take them out, and I think now it's your Clippers or the Jazz. Serious? Like I don't know. Dallas, like who knows? And if Dallas trades AD, probably take them out too. And now the Clippers are a playing team. So I'm not sure they're really going to be moving guys like that.
Agreed. All right, let's go here. I think he ends up in Minnesota. What teams do you think he all ends up with?
I'm guessing that's Ja.
Yeah, I'm sure it's about Ja.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of covered the teams, right? The Raptors, the Heat, the Wolves. Yeah, I mean, those are probably, I mean, again, the Rockets maybe, but I don't think so. I don't think he fits what the Rockets want from that position. It would have to be Fred VanVleet plus, and I just don't know that that's the way Houston wants to go.
I still think somehow, some way, he's going to wind up in Sacramento.
God, I hope not.
All right, let's go here. Okay, we did that one already. If AD doesn't end up in Atlanta, could we see the Hawks pivot to Jaren Jackson Jr., who's younger, already on contract, isn't as injury prone? Trade package could be centered around Porzingis and Reaves with a pick or two. I mean, the reporting is that they want to
keep him.
They want to keep Jaren Jackson. Yeah. So I don't know if I would say that's going to happen, but if they pivot off of that, sure, the Atlanta would. I would assume would have interest in Jaren Jackson. Would you be willing to give up Reaves to get Jaren Jackson if you're not willing to give him up to get AD?
I think I would, because I think Jaren Jackson. Here's the issue though: Jaren Jackson Jr. is not really a 5. Like an AD, as much as he doesn't want to be, he is a 5 at this point. Now you're gonna play like, is your new starting group then going to be Okongwu, Jackson, Jalen Johnson, and 2 of the 3 guards? Like I don't know if McCollum eventually gets his way in there, but I like that's okay. Like I don't really have a huge issue with that. I would just be maybe I would be more willing to give him up for Jaren Jackson Jr. Still not sure that's the direction I'm going to go.
All right, Keith, I need to hop out for just a moment here.
Okay, I'll run it.
Thanks, man.
Yep. All right, guys, it's just me, so we know how this goes when we go solo. Let's see here. I'm gonna try to get back to where we were in the queue. Or we'll go here with Jacob Talbert. Since we've been on the topic of smaller on-ball guards, thanks to Trae, what would be a fair number for Keyonte George rookie extension? 25% max. Like it's, yeah. I mean, we're. I don't know. He's going to get the full max, but he's certainly pushing closer to that. If you haven't been paying attention to the Jazz, and I get it, some people don't, but it's like I think it's in a place where like Keyonte George is pretty good. So let's see what happens with him with that contract, but it's going to be a lot, even if it's not the full max, which teams are being a little more cautious on. That'll be where it is with that. So it's just going to be a lot of money. Sorry, I'm just getting texts about stuff. Let's see. Trevin Keith, if I saw you in person to hand you money and ask the question, would you consider it a supper chat? I think there's still supposed to be super chat. I'd consider it super weird. Don't give us money. But as the standing offer goes, if you prove you're subscribed to the show and you want it, you get a hug. Let's see. Who is a star player nobody is talking about that's going to get moved in this trade season? I don't think there is one. I think maybe something comes out of nowhere, but I think we've had the rumors going around about guys for a while. So I don't think we're going to get a star player moved that we're not expecting. How can the Celtics bring in Morant? They can not easily. It would be very difficult for them to get to the matching salary, and he doesn't make sense for the Celtics. Not with the way they play, not with the guards that they already have on the roster. Let's see here. Just gonna try to catch up. There's a couple. I'm gonna wait for Trevor to get back, and then we'll answer. Would you trade Brown or a healthy Tatum for Giannis? Would Boston and Milwaukee do it? I wouldn't trade Tatum. Unless I had indications. I know you're saying a healthy Tatum, but unless I had indications that he's not going to be the same player that he was previous, I wouldn't do Jason Tatum for Giannis. Jaylen Brown would have to be a discussion, but I think both teams would probably say, let's just hold with this right now, unless it was Giannis saying I want out, which we covered yesterday. Giannis now says he doesn't want out. So with that one. So I don't know. I don't think there's gonna be I don't think that's gonna be how that one goes. Trevor did not get a text about Lakers making a trade or the Lakers firing anybody. I can promise you he texted me like he's just dealing with something at the house. Let's see here. A couple more. Whoops. Okay, did that one. Thanks for all the great videos. Any thoughts you'd like to share on the upcoming WNBA negotiations are unrivaled. I don't think Trevor's been following this. I've been following it for the work we do on Spot Track. WNBA CBA negotiations are not going well. They are at least in agreement from a standpoint of if at the very least they're going to put a kind of a contingency where it is, let's continue under the current CBA for an extension into the year. For those who don't know, the WNBA offseason should be cranking right now. And we should be getting into getting ready for their season to start in the springtime. So the WNBA negotiations, they're very far apart on a number of issues. There's not like one thing keeping them from getting a deal done. There's a lot to keeping them from that. So they're in a place where it is, they are really kind of somewhere where they got to get it figured out a little bit with all that, not a little bit, a lot of it there. So that's part of that, but they have a kind of a contingency plan where they'll say, hey, we don't want to miss games. We don't want to have a full work stoppage, because both the ownership side and the player side understand that would be very, very bad for everybody. The WNBA has experienced a huge growth in interest and excitement around the league, so they don't want to move off that. Unrivaled, it's it's fun. I throw on Unrivaled once in a while, especially when they're playing in the daytime, while there's not other stuff going on sports wise. So it's fun to watch, and I like it as a kind of add-on with the WNBA for the players. I think it's great the players have a chance to make more money and kind of go that way. So I think that's really good. Gold Eagle 99. Do you think the Magic should get more scoring in their backcourt? Maybe even pursue Trae Young from the Wizards in the. Well, I don't think the Wizards got Trae Young to just turn around and move him, so I don't think that's going to be the way that goes. So I don't think that's the direction it's going to go with Trae Young. But yeah, I mean, they've got to get more offense or find a way to keep guys on the floor. I mean, that's the thing with the Magic. Every time it's like, all right, they're healthy, they're finally getting some rhythm, they lose a guy for another handful of games. And that gets very worrisome there. So it is it's not great. So we'll see what happens with them. But I keep an eye on Tyus Jones. I don't know that he's going to make it through the trade deadline as a member of the Magic. I think there's a good chance we see Tyus Jones elsewhere by the trade deadline. If nothing else, the Magic don't want to be a tax team. Not this year, not knowing they're very likely to be expensive for years to come. Golden State trades Jonathan Kuminga and Moses Moody to the Blazers for Jeremy Grant. Maybe. I would want maybe somebody a little bit better than that, with that one. So, yeah, it's maybe. I don't hate that idea, but, it's there. Let's see. If you trade for Andrew Wiggins, can you extend him and take away that player option? You can. Unclear that would be the direction it would go. Andrew Wiggins he's not by any means at the end of his career, but teams might rather see it play out. You can't do that unilaterally, though. He would have to agree. He would have to decline. I think what you ideally would want to do is take that player option away and then spread money out a little bit. For him, I think that's where you'd want to go. And that might lead more to letting him re-sign there. What's up with Gafford not scoring much lately? His role is kind of inconsistent with Dallas. When AD's in the lineup and PJ Washington's in the lineup, sometimes he starts, sometimes he doesn't, sometimes he doesn't play a lot. So I think that's a little bit of I think that's kind of what's going on with that one. Let's see here. I'm convinced Adam Silver's trying to bury Kawhi's scandal in the way it takes this long to do the investigation. It does take a while because they don't have access to everything. And you're talking about partners who have no reason to provide the NBA with anything. They can get whatever they need or should be able to from Ballmer and Kawhi and all the NBA tied people. But this company is under no obligation to provide information if they don't want to. And then that's where it gets a little tricky. So I do think that's part of it. I also think another part of it is I think we're going to get the news after the All-Star break because the Clippers are hosting All-Star. I think they're going to let that play out, get past that, and then we'll kind of find out where this goes with that. There was a good John Morant one now, and I can't find it. Do the Celtics make a move? I think they'll do something small. I don't think you're going to see a big move from them in season. I think it'll be more of a move in the summertime for the Celtics. No, Houston loves Van Vliet, but could you see them flipping him in a piece for Drew? Don't buy this late season talk off a ACL tear. Yeah, him returning, I mean, maybe he pushes for it. I'm not sure that's going to be where that goes with that one. So I'm not entirely sure that they go. But yeah, could they get Drew? Sure. I mean, Portland, I think, is open to moving him. So the problem is it's Van Vliet plus what else, like to get there. Like in Houston, if you look at it, they don't have a ton of just salary that it's like just throw that salary in a deal, because the salaries that they have that are meaningfully sized are attached to either players they like, or they're attached, or they're guys they're just not going to move. Very likely. So that's where that part gets a little bit tricky for the Rockets. Hey, Bryce. Hawks potentially ending up with Peterson, DeBonta, Boozer, Wilson could change what type of move you make. Yeah, I mean, that's definitely true. I think, that's got to be at least a factor. They've got to be thinking, hey, we may get a top 3-4 pick out of this Pelicans pick. Looks like they're probably going to, barring really bad lottery luck. So, we'll see. Could be how that kind of goes down there. Let's see here. Here was the Ja Morant one. Does Chicago have assets for Ja? That's an interesting one. I don't love the idea of him and Josh Giddey together, though. It's a lot of ball handling together, but I don't. That's a tough one with them together, as far as you don't have a lot of shooting in that group, so that gets really, I think worrisome there. So I would be careful on that one. I hope the Lakers trade for Keon Ellis, Trey Murphy, and Herb Jones. Yeah, they don't have enough to get all three of those guys. That would be shocking with that. So why would the Wizards value getting rid of Kispert's contract over more draft capital? It just opens up more spending room. And for the remainder of this season, it opens up more runway for their wing group. Corey Kispert's a 2-3. And in the Wizards alone with 2-3s, they have Trae Johnson, Keyshawn George, Bilal Coulibaly, Will Riley, Jameer Watkins, AJ Johnson, if they wanted to get him more run. They're really in a spot where they've got a lot of guys that they got to get minutes for, and that's tough. So that's part of it. But big part is, he took on money for Trae Young next year, but instead of taking on, let's call it $48 million, it's kind of like you took on like 34, $35 million because you got off Chris Kispert's money. So I think that's really important for them. Do you think the Nuggets can retain Watson, or whether they have to dump an existing contract? They have scary depth, easily my title favorites. I'll address the last part first. Definitely a title contender. This run without Jokic, you couldn't be more impressed with those guys. I mean, they are really playing lights out. Jamal Murray's having the best year he's ever had. He has been unbelievable, super consistent as well this season. So I think that is that part is huge for the Nuggets. But as far as Peyton Watson goes, keep him. You're going to be really, really expensive. They would have to go into uncharted territories, and that might be where you may see another player need to get moved on, and not just like move Zeke Naji, who, by the way, is given the best minutes of his career, for the Nuggets. Miami didn't waive Rozier. Well, they didn't waive Rozier because there was very little to be gained. They would only saved about $1.6 million. He had the weirdest non-guaranteed contract I've ever seen. It was like $25 million to $26 million in change was guaranteed. So that's just was always a weird spot. I would try to trade him, but they got to get approval from the league. I think how that whole thing will play out is if they have a trade they like, I think the league will say, all right, we're good. We'll allow that trade, but we'll see with that. Atlanta has interest in Zubac, maybe. That could be there. Trevor's interviewing with the Lakers right now. I mean, maybe he is. I don't know. Would have hoped we would have scheduled this a little bit better if he did. Let's see here. Just trying to make sure I'm not missing super chat. Sorry, guys. I am way behind on this one. If the Spurs traded Fox for Ja, would they be better? No, they'd be worse. De'Aaron Fox is a better player than Ja Morant. I don't even think it's close. And I would not do that. Ja for Darius Garland and some picks. Why would the Cavs give up picks in that? I think Darius Garland and Ja Morant are pretty similar value players. And Garland, they know fits better with their guys. That would not be a trade I would do. Wizards will eat Rozier's contract for Middleton? Maybe. I don't know that Miami wants Middleton. Like, that's kind of a weird trade for them. They've got a lot of guys. Middleton now is more of a 3 and small 4. He just can't really defend quick guys, so he doesn't play out on the wing anymore like that. So I think or out on the perimeter, rather. So I think it's probably I think they would go a different direction. I mean, you've got Powell and Hawkes and Wiggins and Amit Jovic. Like I think they would Miami would pass on that one. I don't think that's a move that they would do. Let's see here. Sign and trade Reaves and Vando for McDaniels, Nas, Dillingham, and a pick. The Timberwolves aren't doing that. They're not giving up all of that there. And you can't sign and trade Reaves now anyway. So if you're talking in the offseason, I still don't think Minnesota's doing that. Jaden McDaniels is really good. And you're getting Nas Reed and Dillingham and a pick. Like, that's not I don't think that would be the way that would go. Rui in a first for Hawkes and expiring. I don't think the math doesn't work on that either. That's way too much money going to Miami's way on that one. Yeah, that's the dream team behind me in the background. I'm still working on stuff. We're pulling my wall decor out of my old office here in the house and into this one. So there'll be more coming up, but that's the dream team. Here's the thing that bums me out with this set. It's starting lineup, guys. They made this set before Christian Laettner and Clyde Drexler were added to the dream team. So it's only the original 10 dream teamers. So I go back and forth on like getting a Laettner and Drexler figure. You can buy them and then just putting them beside the set there. But that's the thing. And my wife put those in the shadow box together for me several years ago with that. Can you explain generally how restricted free agency works? What is it about RFAs that gives a current? Hey, there he is.
Hey, I'm back.
Welcome back.
Crisis averted.
Now we're on the wrong sides.
Yeah.
There we go. I fixed this. People thought you were interviewing with the Lakers or that you found out Rob Pelinka was being fired or that there was a big Lakers trade. I told them that's not.
No, none of those things were happening. My wife texted me a little bit freaked out saying there's something in our attic or someone in our attic, like stomping around. I'm like, okay, I'll figure out what's going on. I went down there. Sure enough, there's like loud noises coming from there. Turned out I went up there and took a while to find it. There was a squirrel that was trying to make its home up there and was very, very determined to try to make a home up there and was just banging around and making a lot of noise. So took care of that, and now we're good.
You're forming quite the menagerie there. You have all kinds of animals.
I recorded the Lakers Nation podcast last night, and right as I hit record, Studio Stu jumps up and his tail goes right in front of my camera lens. We've got, it's a farm here, I guess.
Yeah, the Lane family farm.
That's it.
All right, Tabe, to answer your question on this one. All right, so player hits restricted free agency. Another team can give them what's called an offer sheet, which is the full terms of the contract. They're offering them. So let's, years, dollars, 4 years, $100 million with a player option on the end and 15% trade bonus, that something along those lines. Then the other team has 24 hours to decide if they want to match that or not. That's what gives the team the power, is they could say, yep, we're matching it. We're keeping the guy. So when a no-brainer player makes it to restricted free agency, like, for example, Josh Giddey, this past summer, we knew the Bulls, unless some team came with an absolutely wild overpay, they were going to match any offer. And that's why nobody even bothered. That's why often teams don't even bother messing around with restricted free agents, because in order to get them, you have to give them a contract the other side won't match. So that's kind of, I think hopefully a quick and dirty explainer on that.
All right, let's go. I don't know where you were at in.
Yeah, I stopped starring him. I was just kind of going down the order. FVV, yeah, he can. He does have a no trade clause, so he could kill anything. Presumably, he wouldn't. It doesn't sound like it. I think he would probably work with there. So yeah, Kelly Eco reported Houston's not interested in Ja. Makes sense. It's and Kelly Eco's awesome when it comes to Rocket stuff. He's usually all over it. Colin Gillespie played himself into a contract the Suns won't be able to afford next season. Possible. He's been really good.
He has.
Colin Gillespie, I want to just spend a minute on this one. This is why the two-way contract stuff matters. Like, keep an eye on two-way guys because he played himself off of the two-way deal. I don't know how many people paid attention. Remember, his rookie year, he broke his leg, and he broke his leg so badly, there were questions if he'd ever play again at an NBA level. So that was issue number one when he's on a two-way with Denver. Never really got a shot in Denver because Denver never really needed him to play. Went to Phoenix, was on a two-way, was okay. Got a minimum this year. I don't think he's going to be on a minimum next year. Can the Suns afford him? It kind of depends on where it gets to, right? With Gillespie. If it gets to, teams that start talking the full mid-level for him, we'll see. But this is kind of like Ty Jerome a little bit, where he's played really well and has earned a much bigger contract. So keep an eye on it. I know Phoenix wants to keep him if they can.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I think he's been fantastic for them this year. He's part of the reason why they've had the success that they've had, despite not having Jalen Green for nearly the entire season.
Yeah, big time. Yep. I'm just starring some questions, so you can start pulling whatever you want there.
Okay. I'll do this one. We're going to get Keith's thoughts on Sunday, but Trevor, for you, should Detroit make a big move, small move, or no move at the deadline?
Right.
I lean small move. If there's a big move that's there that makes a lot of sense, sure, it has to be great value. Like I wouldn't be opposed to that, but I think more small move, add some shooting to this team. That's what they could do. Now, if you can get a great price on Michael Porter Jr., if you can get a great price on Lauri Markkanen, okay. But I think a smaller move makes sense, just given that you don't want to do something disruptive of chemistry unless, again, you've got some type of just screaming value or something like that. So I think a smaller move, add a bit of shooting to this team, and you're off and running.
Yep, completely agree. I'm just starring questions, and if we get to them, we get to them. Goodness. This is what happens when I try to fly solo, man. It's a freaking disaster. I don't know how you do it.
Paul Pierce moment. No.
Yeah. Did you have one when you saw the squirrel? Because I might have had one.
No, I didn't. So I actually had to go. There's a pipe that he was getting. I think he's trying to like fill it with nuts or whatever. Anyway, he did though when he saw me. He did the full like and then ran. That type of thing. So yeah, but took a little while for me to actually find him. Let's go. Oh, Subway or Jersey Mike's?
Jersey Mike's. All day long. Not even close.
Agreed. I'm not the biggest Jersey Mike's fan, but I would still go Jersey Mike's. I think it's good. I would put Firehouse over Jersey Mike's.
That's how my wife and daughter feel, but I am I'm bigger. I like.
Well, what sandwich do you get there?
Chipotle cheesesteak.
Okay. So I go with just the classic Italian, and I think their Italian is just okay.
Got it. Yeah, I could probably see that. Jersey Mike's has a really good BLT too.
Oh, okay.
If you're like for just a super simple sandwich with that. So, yeah. All right. I think I've started enough now that we can maybe get back on track here.
Would you rather be an ESPN analyst or work for a team?
I'd rather work for a team. I find myself as I age missing competition and being a part of a team in competition. Like it is just something I would like again. I would love to we're competing for a title and we actually I'm really a part of it. That said, I mean, it was a dream for a long time to work for ESPN. I don't know that it would ever happen, but I'd be very open to it. But yeah, I've since I was a kid, which honestly, I gave up on the idea that I was going to ever play basketball when I pretty much topped out at 5'9" in about the 6th or 7th grade. I gave up about 8th or 9th grade that I was ever playing basketball at any meaningful level. And at that point, I decided I either wanted to coach or work in a front office.
Very cool. Yeah, I think that would be tough. On one hand, I would say work for a team, but then like 95% of what I do and talk about, I would not be able to. I would have a hard time not being able to talk about the things that I talk about.
Yeah.
Because we would fall under the CBA rules. We would be tampering all day, every day if we had these conversations. So that would be the challenge for me with it. I don't think I would say no to a team, but I think I would actually lean ESPN.
So I will tell a quick story here. So I interviewed with a team within let's say since the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
So within the last 5 years. And one of the questions they asked me in my interview is, will you deactivate your social media if you get this job? And I was like, 100%. I was like, I would want to do like one more, like, hey, just so people don't think I died. I'm going to work for this team. And they're like, oh yeah, of course. They're like, we would, let you do that. But yeah, that was with that. So, what did I miss? Where's Trev? Well, you guys are both gone at the same time, though.
Well, yeah, but we took a quick little squirrel adventure and then returned. Yeah. It was like a little mini Christmas vacation there.
Studio student detect a squirrel that alone should put him on the trade block.
He did not. He is not. For as much attention and love and praise as that cat gets, he is a pain in the ass. Like that cat. And don't get me wrong, he is great and he's adorable when he's like sitting on my desk and he's wanting pets and all those sorts of things. But he is a demanding little thing too. And no, he is well past his hunting days, nor was he ever that great of a hunter to begin with. So no, he would not be. He spends his time either sleeping on the bed, up here, trying to get involved in studio stuff, or knocking stuff off tables in an attempt to get attention. That's what he does. He finds things that he can knock off the table, and he keeps searching until he finds something that you care about. So if you have, I don't know, a roll of paper towels sitting up there and nobody reacts to it, he'll go on to the next thing and then knock that. And he keeps going until he finds something that he could potentially break or that you do care about enough to come and stop him. And it's maddening. I can tell you that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's my dad used to say all the time, because we had cats when I was growing up, because we traveled a lot when I was a kid. I don't know if I ever told this story. My dad was home one weekend a month rather, for most of my life, because of his job. He fixed printing presses all over the world. So any school vacation, we would travel to wherever he was. And when we would go, it was just having dogs makes that hard. So we had cats because somebody could pop in the house and feed them. And and my dad used to always say, you own a dog, you feed a cat.
Yeah.
Like that's, cats are very independent. All right. I think I've got everything flagged that we're going to have time to answer. So we can.
Okay. Yeah. I know we're a little pressed for time. So let's go. How much money to hang a Lakers poster behind you?
A lot, but I would do it. I can be bought. I mean,
that could be bought. Will LaMelo be the hardest max?
How big of a super chat will you send?
That's right.
LaMelo, the hardest max player to move? Yeah, maybe. He's up there. I'm working on best and worst trade value. Mostly not as much based on just strict basketball, but contract related as well. And he'll feature on one of those lists for sure. And if you watch the end of last night's game, it's why. Did you see the end of that game against the Pacers?
I did not.
They were up. I think they had a turnover. It was either a turnover or a missed shot. Uh-huh. They got a run out, and he threw the stupidest alley-oop I've ever seen. Where there was no reason to throw it. You're protecting the lead. Threw the dumbest alley-oop, which had no chance of getting to the guy. To his credit, he said after it was stupid. But it's like, this is the kind of stuff he does. And then he committed this panicked turnover for no reason as well late in the game, and they ended up losing a game that they had won. It just, he just plays really silly basketball sometimes. He's super fun to watch, but it's like, I don't know. I think LaMelo Ball is the perfect indicator of the people who just consume the game through highlights versus people who actually watch the whole games. Because if you consume the game through highlights, you think he's great because he does incredible stuff, but it is not it's not good.
If you were Memphis or Charlotte and you could just straight up swap Ja Morant for LaMelo Ball, which one would either side do it?
I don't think so. I think both sides would say, no, let's just keep moving. If I'm Memphis, or if I'm Charlotte, I'd have a little bit more interest because Ja has one less year under.
I was going to say, does it just come down to who gets less years on their contract, and that's it. Keith, how does being a cap space team work? Right now, the Lakers have $75 million plus Austin's $20 million cap hold on the books. Can we spend $70 million on free agency and then sign Reaves to a max? Yes and no.
You're like halfway there
because you're missing, like, there's cap hold. There's empty roster spot charges. We're missing.
So anytime you're under 12, I call it 12 items because it could be players under contract. Cap hold.
Is this the checkout line?
Kind of,
12 items or less.
Yeah, 12 items or less, you get tagged with a roster charge. And that roster charge is for a minimum. So let's say a team started this summer with nothing, no players under contract, no cap holds, and no draft picks. So like literally nothing on their books, just a completely clean cap sheet. They would still not have 100% cap space. It would be like, it's called 1.5 million roughly times 12. So whatever that works out to would be 18. You take that number off the books, 18 million. You take that off the books, and they'd have about 82 million in space if it was 100 million cap. So that's how that would work. So it doesn't exactly work that way. For what it's worth, I project the Lakers. I was just working on cap space stuff this morning, just kind of
you had them around 55 last time we had this conversation.
Yeah, I've got them at 57.4.
Yeah.
So now Austin Reaves part is absolutely right.
Yes.
You hold his cap hold, you go and spend all your cap space, then you re-sign Austin Reaves. That's exactly how that works.
Exactly. And when we look at the Lakers cap sheet, it's difficult to put it. People want to know how much cap space do they have. Well, it depends on what happens with. What does LeBron do? That's obviously a really big thing, right? But also, what happened to DeAndre Ayton has a player option. Marcus Smart has a player option. What happens with those? Do they give Rui Hachimura an extension after the trade deadline? Do they not? There's a lot of variables that can change what that cap space number would be.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we'll tag this one in there. Can't you renounce his cap hold to have the full 75 million? Yes, but then whatever you re-sign Austin Reaves for comes out of your cap space. So It really becomes a balancer between, do you need cap space to re-sign Austin Reaves? In this case, they have full bird rights, so you wouldn't need to do that. So they would let it kind of roll. They'd use their cap space and re-sign him. Now, if it was like, we don't want Austin Reaves anymore, or he leaves, then obviously that comes off the books and you jump up to that 70 million or so.
If you didn't, so for example, let's say you renounced him and then you spent the full 75, then you would not be able to pay Austin Reaves at that point because you wouldn't have his rights to do so. And by the way, this is
you pay him out of cap space.
Well, I know. I'm saying if you spent your full cap
space, you spent it and renounced him. Yeah, then you'd be then see you later, Austin Reaves.
Right. Yeah, and then that would be that. So, but this is always fun, Keith. The Lakers are going to be, project to be anyway, a cap space team this year. We'll see. Obviously, a lot of variables in there. We don't know for sure what will happen, but we will get the fun of if they do become a cap space team, they will relinquish the rights to the likes of Dion Waiters, Markieff Morris, Dwight Howard, Wayne Ellington, Jared Dudley. Jared Dudley is a coach now. Avery Bradley, Carmelo Anthony. Those are the players the Lakers will need to renounce their rights.
There goes that big deal for Dion Waiters.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah, I do love when teams do that. They use their cap space and they renounce those old cap holds. It's always a fun trip down memory lane.
It is indeed. Okay. Let's go here, Keith. Who are you highest on in the 2026 draft class compared to consensus?
Still in on Nate Ament, but he's not top 4 for me anymore. I'm gonna use this weekend to do some catch up on draft stuff. I it's not. It felt like for a little while, like having AJ DeBonta at number 1 was a little bit of a different place to be in, and that's where I've been. I've had AJ DeBonta at number 1, but now other people have moved him there as well. So that doesn't seem like that's a overly crazy thing anymore. But yeah, I think it feels like I'm still a little bit higher on Nate Amen. The talent is there. The production has been awful for what we expected. So hopeful that'll pick up here in the conference play and kind of go from there.
All right, let's go here, and then we'll wrap up. David, not sure if the math works, but Reaves for Lou Dort and picks. LA needs to find a way to get younger. Is Lou Dort younger than Austin Reaves?
I don't think so.
This draft looks deep this year.
Close to the same age, right?
They've got it. Yeah, it's got to be somewhere. I'll look right now. But I mean, here's the problem with, and we don't know exactly what the future is going to be. He's 26. Austin's 27.
Yeah, Austin Reaves is older. Yeah. All right, but sorry. Yeah, but barely.
Right. So
I don't even think it's a full year.
Keith, I've been trying to drive home this point to Lakers fans, to fans in general, that Austin Reaves does not have the trade value that you would think he would. I get the question every day, like, we need to cash in while Austin's value is high. It's not, because he's a flight risk to any other team. He could walk away. No team is going to give up significant assets for half a season of Austin Reaves, knowing that he can be a free agent in July. You've heard Austin say a million times that he wants to be a Laker. He wants to be a Laker for life. No other team has that assurance. So I don't know, the Bucks trade for him, and Austin goes, I hate the cold. I'm okay. I'm going to sign with Miami in July or something. Yeah. And then whatever they gave up to get him is gone.
Imagine this scenario, right? Let's just play this one out.
Yeah.
They trade him to OKC for Lou Dort. To get Lou Dort, Lou Dort's under contract next season for, well, he's got a team option, but let's say that in this theory, the Lakers pick up that team option. The team option is less than Austin Reaves' cap hold, which increases the Lakers' cap space, and the Lakers turn around and sign Austin Reaves in free agency, which you can do because his contract would end. That's like, talk about like, man, if we're OKC, unless Austin Reaves put us over the top to win another title, like, we just completely mismanaged assets there, which the Thunder don't do, so that's not going to be a thing. No. But that's exactly what you have to be careful of. Any team trading for him has to be careful that he's not going to be like, cool, I'll play out the next 3-4 months with you, and then I'm off. I'm heading right back to the Lakers because they're in position to be able to do that.
And when we look at the situation with Austin, if you're a fan and you think the Lakers need to trade Austin Reaves, and right now all of their numbers, there were a lot of questions about, can Austin work with Luka this season or not? So far the numbers all say yes, and by a lot. That said, there are some questions about, defensively, can it work out? Can he do these sorts of things? Again, so far the numbers have said yes. Long term, maybe you've got a different opinion. People still point to the playoffs, all of that, whatever. If you're of the mindset that they need to trade Austin Reaves, what you should be rooting for is the Lakers to sign Austin Reaves this summer and then trade him next season when he's under contract for 4 years or whatever he signs for. Right now, it's too much of a risk for teams to give real value. Look at what's going on with Trae. There is a chance Trae Young could opt for free agency and leave the Washington Wizards this summer. But that's baked into why they got not a lot in exchange, why the Hawks got not a lot in exchange for him. You wouldn't get the kind of value that you're looking for. And there's a comment in the chat about it needs to be a sign and trade. Austin is extension eligible, but he's not going to sign that. He already declined that extension in the summer. It's not nearly enough money. No sense for him. Right. So
he just can't get paid off to extend now. Yeah.
Yep. So,
and that doesn't change with a change in scenery either. Like, that's not, no other team can offer more that the Lakers can. That's his contract related, not the team he's on. So, yeah. All right, we did it. We're there. Good job, buddy.
And we made it.
Squirrel attack too.
We made it.
All right, man.
we dealt with a squirrel We went over cap. We talked about trading John Morant. We dealt with a squirrel emergency, and still found our way through the show.
And our buddy Bryce is correct. Hit that like button on your way out, guys. Hit that like, help people find the show. Subscribe if you haven't. If you do subscribe or you are subscribed, turn on your notifications because we're full on in range of we could be going live at almost any time now because it's we're in trade season, baby. Let's go.
That's right. That's right. Love this time of year. Everybody, again, hit that subscribe button. Have a fantastic weekend. Till next time. See ya and stay safe.
Squirrel.